Julian Assange, WikiLeaks founder, to plead guilty to violating the Espionage Act from CBS News. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has agreed to plead guilty to violating the Espionage Act and is expected to appear in a U.S. courtroom on the Northern Mariana Islands in the coming days, court records revealed on Monday. The guilty plea, which is to be finalized on Wednesday, will resolve Assange's outstanding legal matters with the U.S. government. Justice Department prosecutors recommended a prison sentence of 62 months in custody as a part of the plea agreement. CBS News learned this recently, which is on the high end for a single count violation. Assange would not spend any time in U.S. custody because, under the plea agreement, he'll receive credit for the approximately 5 years he has already spent in UK prison fighting extradition to the U.S. In a letter to the federal judge on Monday, the Justice Department said that Assange opposed traveling to the continental U.S. to enter the guilty plea, and that the Justice Department expects Assange to return to Australia after the court hearing. Assange, an Australian national, was indicted in 2019 by a federal grand jury in Virginia with more than a dozen charges that alleged he illegally obtained and disseminated classified information about America's wars in Afghanistan and Iraq on his WikiLeaks site. So he owned a site called WikiLeaks, basically. And if you didn't know that, I just wanted to bring that up because it's important here. He essentially posted this information to his WikiLeaks site, and that's kind of where it got found out. Prosecutors at the time accused him of recruiting individuals to hack into computers and/or illegally obtain and disclose classified information. And he is set to plead guilty to a charge of conspiracy to obtain and disclose national defense information. His attorney declined to comment, but in a statement posted onto social media, WikiLeaks said that Assange was granted bail by a UK court on Monday and then boarded a plane at London's Stansted Airport and then left the UK, noting that the deal has not yet been formally finalized. WikiLeaks said it would provide more information when it could. After more than 5 years in a 2x3 mattress cell, isolated 23 hours a day, he will soon reunite with his wife Stella Assange and their children, who have only known their father from behind bars, the organization said. Julian is free, Stella Assange said in her own message posted on social media, in which she shared a video showing Assange arriving at Stansted and boarding the plane. Words cannot express our immense gratitude to you, yes, you, who have all mobilized for years and years to make this come true. This is the post that she posted to social media. If you want to pause the video, you can. One of the Assange's best-known recruits, U.S. Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning, was convicted of the 2010 leak of hundreds of thousands of sensitive military records to WikiLeaks, and what officials said was one of the largest disclosures of secret government records in history. Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, and in 2017, former President Barack Obama commuted her sentence. Assange was accused of working with Manning to figure out the password on a Defense Department computer system that stored the sensitive records about the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, as well as hundreds of Guantanamo Bay detainee assessment briefs. Federal prosecutors also accused Assange of publishing the names of persons throughout the world who provided information to the U.S. government in circumstances in which they could reasonably expect their identities would be kept confidential. Assange previously denied all wrongdoing. He and his supporters argued the charges should never have been filed because he was acting as a journalist in reporting on government actions. He has been in British custody since 2019 and launched a years-long legal effort to resist extradition to the U.S. to face federal charges. The expected guilty plea brings an end to the intercontinental court fight. In May, the WikiLeaks founder won his bid to appeal his extradition to the U.S. on espionage charges after British court asked the U.S. government earlier this year to assure that Assange would be granted free speech protections under the U.S. Constitution and that he would not be given the death penalty if convicted on espionage charges. President Biden has said in April that he was considering a request from Australia to allow Assange to return to his native country, which called for the US to drop the case against him. Assange has faced legal troubles for more than a decade, beginning in 2010 when a Swedish prosecutor issued an arrest warrant related to rape and sexual assault allegations by 2 women, which Assange denied. As he faced extradition to Sweden, he sought political asylum at the Ecuadorian, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but Ecuadorian embassy in London, I probably butchered that, where he lived for 7 years until he was evicted in 2019. Swedish prosecutors dropped their investigation into Assange in 2017, and an international arrest warrant against him was withdrawn. But he was still granted by British police for skipping bail. But he was still wanted by British police for skipping bail when he entered the embassy. By early 2019, Ecuador became irritated with its London house guest, accusing him of smearing his feces on the walls and attacking its guards. That's crazy. He exhausted our patience and pushed our tolerance to the limit, Lenin Moreno, who was Ecuador's president at the time, said. Moreno accused Assange of being an informational terrorist by selectively releasing information according to his ideological commitments. At the request of the US government, British police arrested Assange on April 11th, 2019 at the embassy after Ecuador ended his asylum. By then, he was facing charges in the US related to the 2010 leak. WikiLeaks was a key player in the 2016 presidential election, publishing thousands of emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee that had been stolen by Russian government hackers. WikiLeaks and Assange are mentioned hundreds of times in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's 448-page report on Russian interference in the 2016 election, though they were not charged for the 2016 conduct. And that is the end of this article. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know in the comments. Drop a like and subscribe, and let's continue.